I have too much self-respect and dignity. I love my family way too much, and I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms, and in turn be expected to defend the president against impeachment after he hatefully dumped tens of millions of dollars against me and tried to destroy me.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, the firebrand and heretofore extremist MAGA congresswoman from Georgia, announcing she will resign from the House early next year. Like, peace, I'm out. Also making the case Republicans will lose in the midterms if they do not change the course.
Now, who else didn't have this on their bingo card? Make no mistake, she was threatened into doing this. After weeks, no months, of the two of them fighting, Marjorie Taylor Greene herself was saying that this whole Epstein thing was tearing the MAGA apart. She and Donald Trump kept calling each other traitors. But with how much money she was making off of being in Congress, there is no way she would resign by herself. Whether it was Trump himself or other Republicans, they threatened her and forced her to resign. Because this is right before the 2026 midterms. And for how loud she is, she would have kept all of this fresh in everybody's mind and been dragging Trump all the way up until the midterms. And MAGA actually really likes her because she's nuts. Trump kept bashing her like crazy on Turd Social, and then after she announced that she was going to resign, he has a brief phone call with news media where he says, "Oh, this was a really great decision, I wish her well." She said that Trump was going to endorse a primary challenger for her, and she didn't want her district to go through that. But even she knows at this point that Trump's endorsement is the kiss of death. Look what just happened in the previous elections. Anybody he endorsed wasn't going to do any better. Again, she is a racist psychopath, but she was able to take MAGA and Trump's projection with the Epstein files and bring it right to the fucking forefront and never let it leave the mainstream headlines. Do not fool yourself for a fucking second. She was forced to resign. Because the one thing Trump and the MAGA cannot stand is accountability, especially from their own people.
Marjorie Taylor Greene shocks the political world on Friday night by announcing she is resigning her Georgia House seat effective early January 2026, basically when the House comes back in 2026. This is big news. She had a long thing. Basically, she wrote a long letter. She had a video where she said that she was tired of the uniparty, that the two parties are basically the same. They don't do anything. They don't listen to people like her. That, you know, she knows who she is and she's not sort of going to stay any longer. Okay, so what does it mean? Well, look, it's a big deal. I mean, you can tell I'm doing a video here on a Friday night. I'm at the News Nation DC bureau. I think there are two basic potential options for what Greene is doing here, okay? And I'm going to go through them both. So the first is that she's had a genuine sort of personal crisis conversion experience. I'll point you to, I've been going through her speeches and interviews for the last 6 weeks, 2 months. She sounds like a totally different person. She was on CNN with Dana Bash last weekend, where she talked about how she was sorry for her contribution to the toxic politics, where she was committed to doing better. She talked about how the Charlie Kirk assassination had sort of changed how she viewed the world. I mean, it was serious stuff. And she's also broken, repeatedly with Donald Trump and the MAGA movement over that same time period. She was critical of Trump's decision to use American military to strike Iranian targets, nuclear targets. She was critical of H-1B visas that Trump supports. She's been, and most importantly, and most prominently, she's been really critical of the White House and House Republican leadership fighting the discharge petition that eventually passed and has become law already on Jeffrey Epstein and releasing the Jeffrey Epstein files that the Department of Justice has. So I don't know if the Epstein experience alienated her. I don't know if this was a longer time brewing. I mean, remember, Marjorie Taylor Greene was one of the leading lights of the MAGA movement, right? I mean, she is someone who's been at the forefront of the Make America Great Again movement almost since it started. She's been one of Trump's biggest defenders in Congress. He always talks about how much he loved her and how great she was. And clearly she was in the process of trying to figure some things out. She thought about running for the Senate in Georgia. The Trump administration kind of said, we don't really want you to do that. She talked about running for governor of Georgia, both up in 2026. They also said, like, maybe don't do that. And then we had all this Epstein stuff. So I do think it is possible that she's kind of in the midst of a personal, I don't know if conversion experience is the right word, but a personal, and I don't know if crisis is the right word, but a reinvention of some sort, and that she doesn't want to, because if you do read her interview, she sounds like a totally different person in the last 3 months than she sounded like her entire time in Congress thus far. Not like she's a liberal, but just very sick of sort of how the two parties operate. She's also been attacked by Donald Trump a whole lot of times of late. After she's criticized him and broken with him, he calls her Marjorie traitor. Greene, see what he did there. So maybe she's just fed up and she wants to move on to a different stage of her life. I actually think that could be the reason here. I know, look, I'm as cynical as anyone about politics, and I know people generally are like, oh, that's not it. I think it legitimately could be. I'm not saying it definitely is, but I think it definitely could be the reason. All right, what's the other potential reason? The other potential reason, if you read her statement or watch what she said, is she is going to run for president either as a Republican outsider or as an independent in 2028, because she does talk about the uniparty. She does talk about how basically the two sides in their leadership are effectively the same. They go on cable, they don't really care about regular people. They don't really move any legislation that supports the America First agenda. And so if you were thinking about running nationally at some point down the road in the next couple of years, it's not the worst thing in the world to walk away from Congress. People hate Washington. To walk away from Congress and to kind of run like an outsidery, either for the Republican nomination or as an independent, an outsidery, like I'm the real MAGA, I'm the real America First person. So look, the counterbalance to that is she announced it at like after 8 p.m. Eastern on a Friday night, which is not exactly the time when you're going to get like a huge amount of national coverage. I mean, if you were going to do something like that, you would think you would like go to the House floor while the House was in session, middle of the day, make this big announcement, this kind of big, like, I'm breaking from the two parties, neither of them serve our interests kind of announcement. So it's a little odd to me that this is the timing that she's chosen. If she does want to run for president down the line. But I do think those are your two options. So it's either kind of a personal awakening or she was moving away from where Trump was moving MAGA, and then Trump attacking her and all the people who once were her allies attacking her, that moved her away and kind of pushed her out and she's sort of done with it. Or this is political positioning for a future run. I actually think option A is much more likely, or more likely. I don't know if much more likely, but I think it's more likely than option B there. But who knows? We'll see. She could disappear totally and not run for anything in the future, right? I mean, I think that's possible, but she's a really good fundraiser. She's really well known. And I think for a chunk of sort of America First, people who do not want U.S. intervention in other countries, people who want to spend money here, people who were real hardliners on immigration, she could be a voice for them. So stay tuned, but a hugely surprising development. And I'll obviously stay on top of it. I wanted to make a video for you, even though it was Friday night, even though I'm about to go on TV. I think it's that important.